Noble Gold Investments, and I'm here today with Fernando, who been a long-time employee of Gold.
Yeah, going on 5 years.
About 5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember when we started during the pandemic.
right. Pandemic, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, long time ago, and obviously a lot has happened. And first of all, I appreciate you willing to come on and talk, because I think to talk about your experience, it will help people.
Mhm.
Because the news um, does a good job of just kind of as a macro level, but you're living it. You're living through this situation, um, and first of all, just so happy that your family's okay and safe,
Yeah.
and
Then it's,
all your animals too.
yeah, yeah.
So that's the first thing I want to say. But let's kind of dive into. So I think what we're going to do is dive into the day, talk about what you saw, because I think you have a very unique experience, and I actually haven't seen what you've seen. I haven't seen it anywhere in the news,
No.
which I'm surprised that it hasn't come out. Maybe just people are afraid to talk, or so. Let's go into the day. So you worked on the 7th.
It was. Yep.
You were here with us. We were
Yeah.
working that day.
Yep. I was here Tuesday on the 7th,
Yeah.
like I usually do, Monday through Wednesday. It was a Tuesday afternoon.
You had to work with me.
Yeah, I have to work with you. I had to work with Colin here. So it was Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. I'm usually the last one to leave from the office. So I remember just looking at the weather outside, man, that evening was windy. It was windy, so I was like, I need to get home. I just want to get home and see how things are looking over there. But before I hopped on the freeway and before I made my drive home, I wanted to just check in and see how things were going over there, just because I saw how crazy the wind was. And I remember I just called my sister and just to see how things are looking over there. And that was, let's say, 6:15 ish, and no fire. No fire was started. She told me it's windy, but there's no, like, everything's fine.
And the Palisades fire had already started.
The Palisades fire had started.
Started the morning.
Had already started that
Yeah.
morning.
But the winds were wild. I mean, we're talking about
Yeah, exactly. We're
80,
80 to 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So when she told me everything was looking good over there, I was like, okay, so let me just take off home. Let me make my drive. And as I'm driving home, I just saw my phone going off a few times. Like, I got a few text messages coming in, but I never opened them because I was like, I'm driving home. Let me just get home. I'll open these text messages once I get home. So I'm like maybe 30 minutes into my drive, and then I come across, um for those who don't know, I the 210 here in the LA area, is it goes eastbound or westbound. I was driving eastbound towards Pasadena. So as soon as I arrived to Pasadena, I just saw a clear picture. Like, if it was like if I was driving into a movie set, because I was just driving into what I saw, a huge line of flames, from the Inland Canyon Mountain all the way to the bottom of towards the city. But never did I think that video, the one you see right here on the screen, was
wow.
was in my neighborhood. I
Right.
thought
You thought it was farther.
I thought it was either further out,
Yeah.
or maybe even closer, because I'm driving on the freeway along the mountains, so I couldn't really, like, distinguish where the fire was coming from. But man, I tell you, when I got home, I was like, this is home. I was like, this fire is happening, like, right in my neighborhood. Like, this is where I live. So as soon as I saw that fire, I just had to get home. And it I mean, if we want to talk about everything that happened after that, like all the inefficiencies that took place after that, there's a few. But as I go and I explain to you a little bit about what happened, you'll hear a little bit of what the inefficiencies were. But so I get home, and by the time I get home, everybody's already, my mom, my sister, my nephew, they already have their bags packed up.
They're already packed.
They're already packed up.
Did you have a go bag before this, or never?
No,
never.
no,
Right.
I did no,
But you never.
no.
Why would you?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And
Right.
for us, we for us, we've lived in the area in the mountains for going on 30 years. We've had one fire take place in the canyons, but never has it reached to the point where we have to even think about
Oh,
evacuating.
really? Okay.
So we thought it was just like that. We thought it was like another scenario of that, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna be fine. But it no, nothing was.
So when you got home around 6:30 ish, um, was it like go home, I got to get my bag, or was it like I got to have a bag ready, but did you know you were leaving right away
No,
or no?
no.
Okay.
We thought we were gonna be able to write it out. We thought that by the time it was gonna hit like midnight, we were gonna be, oh, maybe we were gonna get notified, oh, the winds are calming down, you guys are good. Nothing. But as the night just progressed, things just got worse. It hit like maybe 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Our power was still on.
You still had power.
We still had power by 8 p.m.
Right.
10 p.m. our power went off. So it took Edison, well, the power company, from 6:30 to 10 p.m. to kind of like see, oh, are we gonna turn off the power or are we gonna keep it on?
Right.
No,
And it seems to not make sense that the
It-
power would stay on,
it
right?
does-
They should have, as soon as they caught wind of that fire, they should, because obviously, if things fall down, electrical fire, like everything can get worse. But for whatever reason, from 6:30 to about 10 p.m., the power is still on.
So as right here on
my
screen,
God.
that's 6:25. So
No.
at 6:25, the Edison power antennas were already catching on fire. By 10 p.m., we still had power. So they decided to keep the power on that entire time. That's like almost 4 hours of
I'm
them
gonna
having
spray
the
the-
electricity on.
Spray the roof.
But I guess the question is, why keep the power on if the winds are
It's a risk.
if
It's a
the
tremendous
winds
risk.
are hitting 100 miles
Please,
per
God.
hour, why
Please,
keep
God,
the power
save us.
on?
Save our house.
Which is
So-
interesting because
Please.
I hear I have a friend that lives in Camarillo, and anytime there's any wind, he loses power. They
Right.
just shut it because it's preventative, right?
Yeah,
So they had 3 or 4 hours to potentially
to make a decision.
Make a decision.
And I won't lie to you, I think it was like 9, and my friends were texting me that they didn't have any power off, that they didn't have any power. One of my best friends that lives down the street, like about 5 minutes down the street from where I live, their power was off.
But you still have
But
power.
I still had
You
power.
have power.
I
And
live,
you guys were closer to
and
the
I
fire.
live closer to the fire. My
Yeah.
friend that lives down the street, she lives like a good 5 to 7 minutes down the street, but their power was already off.
Yeah.
But ours was still running.
So that was a huge mistake.
That was the first one that we caught right away. So that's that. It hit like maybe noon. I mean, sorry, it hit midnight, and I think that's when we started to get a little bit scared. That's when we were like, "Oh shit, it's getting serious. We might have to leave."
Is the fire department nearby?
No fire department.
No one's
We didn't hear no sirens. Nothing. Our street was dead. Our street, there was once it hit midnight, there was no power. There was no cop, no sheriff, no fire department coming up to our street alerting us to evacuate. None of that.
And you never got a text.
And it hit 12, still no evacuation notice. Our phones did not go off. I don't think we ever received to this day. Even the next day when we came back to Pasadena, there was still no proof of evacuation notice hitting our phones even after the day that everything happened. So I think at that point, my parents and I and my sister, we didn't even have a plan. Our plan, I think, what our only plan was to run to our backyard to save all our livestock. We have about 10 ducks, about 20 to 25 chickens, and a little pig. So I think for us, getting our animals was our priority. and then maybe after that we'll see what happens. But I don't think there was even an after that, because once it hit 1 a.m., my brother and I, we decided to make a drive up the street to see where the fire was at. We were able to go up the street just to get an idea of where it was at. It was okay. It wasn't near our area, near our house or any of our neighborhood's house. So, or neighbors' houses. So once it hit like maybe 2 a.m., I think that's when I decided to, all right, I'm gonna try to see if I can go get some sleep. I'm gonna just go into my room and see if I can just fall asleep, even though the winds were still hitting like 100 per hour.
And still no evacuation.
No,
No one had
so
come and said,
nope,
you're in the danger. You should
no.
clear out of
And this
here.
is 2 a.m. So once it hit like 2:30, my brother wanted to go make a drive again up the street. And when I say up the street, I'm talking about driving about like 3 to 5 minutes up the canyon. And up the canyon, there's an entrance to the mountains, and that's where we were going every like minute to see how the fire was
Mhm.
progressing, or if it was or if it wasn't. But once it hit 2:30, I just told him, I was like, "You go." I was like, "You go. I'm gonna just try to go see if I can get some sleep. I have to come here the next day." So my uncle decided to go with him. My dad's brother. He decided to just go check it out and see where it was at. But they couldn't even go up the mountain anymore. Apparently, once they left the house and decided to drive 5 minutes up the street, the sheriffs were not allowing anybody up there anymore. But the sheriffs didn't tell them anything. They just said that you can't drive up.
They didn't say
They
you should get out of your
these
house.
days they didn't say anything. So my mom to this after the whole incident happened, I think we sat around and everybody was sharing their stories. My mom told me that all she saw was my brother and my uncle running to the house. And as soon as she saw that, she just opened the door for them because she knew something was wrong. And she said that when she opened the door for them, all the smoke just came into our house. Like it
Wow.
was like a wave of just like black smoke that filled up our whole house and made everything pitch black inside our house.
Wow.
So when my uncle and brother came, when my dad's brother and my brother came back into the house, my uncle just rushed to my door because he saw that he remembered that I was going to go to sleep. So he went to my door and just started banging on my door saying, "Fernando, we're leaving, we're evacuating." And then as soon as I heard that, I I think I blacked out. I blacked out for maybe like 5 to 10 minutes. And I just saw that he threw in three huge bags into my room. They were like those big, huge black plastic like trash bags. And I just remember I just grabbed anything I could, whether it was clothes, documents, anything, and I just filled them up. I just filled them up, and I, I didn't know. I kind of blacked out for like 5 to 10 minutes, and I think after those 10 minutes, I started slowly coming back to life, and I was like, all right, like think like what's going on, like let me see what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So once I grabbed all my stuff and I threw it in my car, I saw that all my family, they were running towards our chickens, they were running towards our ducks, they were running towards all of our livestock that we had in our backyard. We filled up our cars with all of our animals, ducks, chickens, our pig. We didn't leave not one animal behind. But I think because of that, a lot of our family members, they lost everything because they didn't have any time to really go
Grab the
for
other stuff.
what they, because when I had arrived there in the after work, they had only packed up their documents and like maybe two changes of clothes,
Right.
but never did they pack anything other than that. So for them, it was just animals or essentials, or what, both. So for them, we just went to our livestock and we just grabbed all the animals we could. So then after that, we all evacuated. We got together. We gathered. We were each in our own cars. We didn't leave none of our cars behind because at that point we kind of knew what was going to happen. We saw the smoke just hitting our neighborhood. It was like if the winds just made a whole 360 and decided to come towards our way.
Wow.
And it just like swept our whole neighborhood with black smoke. By the time we exited to our street and tried to evacuate, I had to turn my high beams on for my car because I couldn't see anything anymore. Everything was just pitch black. So we made our way down to the Pasadena area. We live in the Altadena Hills. So once we got down to the Pasadena, like the city, we all went to my friend's house. That was the plan. She has livestock too, and we were gonna keep our animals there. But by the time we got to her house was also getting swarmed with like black smoke. So she had to leave. Her whole family had to leave, and all her animals had to leave too. Um, we they got what they could out in that moment, but they couldn't get any of their animals out. So they were only able to get their personal belongings, and they had to leave their animals because by the time I got to their house, all the black smoke was already hitting their house.
Wow.
So so by the time they evacuated and by the time we got out, the whole Altadena area was already was already fogged up by
Yeah.
smoke. Luckily though, we were able to return back the next day and grab her animals.
Oh, good, good,
So
good,
her animals made it. Her animals, they to this day they're all fine.
good.
We were able to evacuate all of them one by one, and that's when everything else that I observed from all the inefficiencies started to spiral down. So we came back, let's say around the next day, it was noon. So we were at my friend's house. We were there trying to figure out what was going to be the game plan for them because we couldn't. Altadena, part of Altadena was already blocked off. Where that's where
Where
I
did
live.
you guys go when you couldn't go to your friend's house? So where did you guys end up?
We went to my mom's sister's house, my aunt's house.
Mm-hmm.
She lives further down in Pasadena, and we were able to stay there for a while until we figure out what was going to be the next move. But I I got scared for my dad because my dad he's an ill man. He has diabetes. He has a lot of high blood pressure, and I just saw that he started to cough up cough up all the
All the bad
yeah all
stuff
the
in the air.
bad stuff that he had already um experienced and had
Yeah.
already taken in. So I took off with him in the car. I took him, my nephew, and we took off to downtown LA. I tried to get them as far as I
Far away
can
from the smoke.
from the smoke. My mom's a tough woman, so I let her stay with my brother and my siblings to figure out the next move for the livestock because we had all the livestock, so we're trying to see what we were gonna do with that. So I just decided to just leave with my father and leave with my nephew and hit downtown LA and get a room in downtown LA. The next day though, we just we knew that we couldn't go up to Altadena anymore. That's where I live, like more in the hills, because that whole area was already blocked off.
And did you know the status of your home at that time?
At that time, I didn't know, but I think I was already getting word from a lot of neighbors that they were saying that their home was already lost, that their home was already gone. But my friend's house wasn't yet, so we rushed back to her house. We grabbed her animals, we grabbed whatever we can, and then that's when I started noticing that we were not getting any help from LA Fire Department. We were at my friend's house, and I just remember my friend just he wanted to my friend's husband wanted to just do as best as he can to save their house. And in the midst of everything, we were trying to go to any fire department truck that we would lay our eyes on, and no fire department was trying to. I mean, no LA fire
So
department.
he was trying to save his house by watering or doing whatever he could.
He
And
could.
so he was looking for help.
He was looking for help. He was.
And there was no help.
There was a fire. Just every minute, a fire truck would pass by, and they'll just be like they couldn't help. They
couldn't stop.
They couldn't stop. They didn't. Is I don't know if they didn't want to help, but they didn't help. They didn't pull over to help. No one did. Um, the only help that we received was from the Arizona Fire Department.
Oh,
And we remember that we remember the fire truck, how it was Arizona's fire department that stepped in to help us.
Oh,
But no LA government of fire department wanted to help
They
us.
wouldn't stop.
So what my friend did in that moment, before we even got the help from the Arizona Fire Department, was that this guy, he just went into his backyard. They have a pool. They have their house happens to have a pool. So he just stood he and the good thing is that this guy works for the union. He's a blue collar guy. So all he did, I don't even know how he just, in the midst of everything, he got a water pump from his truck and he threw it in the water in the pool, and the water pump was just sucking all the water out
Mhm.
from the pool. And then his family was also helping grab water from the pool with buckets, because by noon, by 1 p.m., all the water in Pasadena was gone.
Yeah, no water.
There was no water left at all in Pasadena by that time. So by that time, his family stepped in. Everyone stepped in and was just grabbing buckets of water, just running up and down the street, trying to see what they can save. But luckily, I mean, their house is still standing to
So
this.
their house
Their
survived.
their house made it, but the only reason it did make it was because of the actions that they took,
Yeah.
and then that were in the middle of everything that we had to,
Yeah.
just take in.
Yeah.
So that was, I would say, after all the inefficiencies that I saw, the Edison not turning off their power when they should have, no evacuation notice, no the power the LA ran out of water, no government officials wanted to help us. We were just left alone.
Yeah.
We were just there with no help. So I think that's when all the community just stepped in.
Yeah, and you've been
And
saying like your community and people around and have really, banded together, and people are starting to, you were able to move into a hotel that was
yes,
funded by
by FEMA. Yeah. So luckily, in the last 4 days, FEMA has really stepped in, and they have been moving everything around um, that has provided us housing, that has given us a place to stay, given us a place to live. But if it wasn't for FEMA stepping in, I don't think we would be getting the help that we are getting, because our insurance, our house is insured, but even though our house is insured, we're not getting the help
Yeah.
that I think we deserve. Um, we have, I think, about 3 days of communication back and forth that we've been doing with the insurance. Until this day, I think they only want to help with 15% of what our house is valued.
Mm.
So our house is valued at 1.5 million. And I think from that 1.5 million, they only want to help with 370K.
Wow.
So that's
To rebuild.
We're talking about, that's all they want to give
Yeah.
my family to rebuild the home that they've built for 25 plus years.
Wow. And you can't, in Los Angeles, with the cost to rebuild, it's impossible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we may be able to, but again, we want to make sure that when we rebuild, we want to rebuild so that we're not stuck in this
Same
in the same
situation.
situation.
100%.
So I guess the question is, can you really rebuild with 370K?
Yeah.
And is it even fair to get that amount?
Yeah, I mean, and the idea behind
Yeah.
insurance is you're supposed to be whole. That's why you pay. You're not trying to profit, right? You
you're
want to
not.
get back to the same quality of life.
That's all we want.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's really all we want.
That's
We're
what
not.
everybody wants.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think,
And that's just us. And we're talking about businesses that have burned down. We're
Yeah.
talking about businesses that have been there for years. Who I hope, and let's hope that they do have insurance policies that could be able to compensate that
Yeah.
in the longer run. But who knows if that's even something that they have.
Yeah. Well,
So-
first, just want to say thank you for telling us about what's going on. I think it's the news doesn't always tell you
Talk
exactly
about-
what's happening. And I
yeah.
think at the end of the day, your story is a story that a lot of people are going through.
Yeah. It's
I
the
think
aftermath.
it's the aftermath.
Yeah.
And also, I know there's some lawsuits coming. Edison.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it could have been any other company, but unfortunately, it was them. It was Edison who provides our whole community.
Right.
That's their company that has been up in Altadena for years. Again, it could have been any other company, but it was them. It was them who took the decision not to do what they needed to do.
Right.
Once it hit 6:30, they should have done what they did. But because of that, all of our neighbors, our whole street, and my family included, we have all grouped up and rallied together to make a sue them for what they file a lawsuit for what they did.
And I hope you win. And I think that when you look at some of the actions that took place, from you not getting an evacuation notice, to the fire department not being there. I mean, it really shows that the government and some of these large corporations really dropped the ball.
Yeah. When you really need it.
Yeah, when you really need
Yeah.
it. And I also think that I'm just happy that you got out of there, because
I remember you texted me.
Yeah.
You texted me like it was like 8. Are you good? Are you okay?
Yeah.
But never did I think I would be in this situation.
I mean, I think you live in a house for so many years.
Yeah.
You're going to be in denial.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, of course.
Yeah.
Like, why would you think this is going to happen?
Yeah. And you told me you were like, evacuate if you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. But never did I.
No, you never think. And listen, we support you, and I think I think the community is going to rally, and I think that, luckily you got out of there and your animals got out of there and your families. And at the end of the day, really, that's the most important thing. It's like your house and some of your possessions, but ultimately, your health is what's most important. Yeah. So I really appreciate it. I think a lot of people want to hear this story from people that actually lived through it, and what a, harrowing story. I mean, geez, just to open up your door at 2 a.m. and see smoke coming in, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And I think you said it well that you blacked out, because I think I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah, you just black out in the moment. But now looking back at it, you're like, all right.
Survived.
It survived. Yeah.
It was survival.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you telling me. Anything else that you wanted to talk about? Or?
I think just anybody who's in this position right now, just be cautious when talking to insurances. Just be careful. If you need to, just create a designated email address when you're reaching out to these insurances, so that you can have everything in that email.
That's a great idea.
And just have
and the communication. And I think you and I were talking a lot about it. Is like, the insurance companies are looking to make quick deals, right?
Or everybody right now is stressed.
Everyone's stressed, and people want to make quick decisions. But I would say, don't make a quick decision in this situation, because you really don't know what it's going to cost to rebuild. You really don't know what it's going to cost, how much there could be other aid and other money available. So I would just say everyone should take their time, in these kind of situations. And I think that let's hope you get everything that you need to get back to living there. And it's going to be it's going to be a tough few years, but it's a massive wake up call for
a lot of people,
and the state, that these are, we've been having fires. A lot of fires have been happening, more than, I grew up in Los Angeles. I don't remember, last 10 years, there's a lot of fires like this. This was happening. And, these two communities, living so close to the brush, there should have been more preventative measures.
For sure. Yeah, I agree.
As someone that like hikes and is in these areas, like you can see it. I mean, it's not like there's no secret that there was a lot of brush. We didn't get any rain. So at the end of the day, I'm happy you're healthy and happy and your family's good.
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here too. Yeah. Back to work.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. We'll go to
Prices keep climbing. Groceries, gas, everything.
I know, even with a new administration, fixing policies, keeping the economy in line will take time.
I'm so glad we signed up for Noble Gold Investments Value Lock program.
We tied our savings to gold. It's an asset that keeps pace with inflation. When prices go up, so does gold.
So when we need our cash, the value's still there.
Secure your savings with Noble Gold's Value Lock. Call 877-646-5347 or visit Noble.
Wow. Just unbelievable story. Actually, just, growing up here, so many people have been affected by this. And, it's really sad. We have another person at Noble Gold too, that their house survived, luckily, but they don't think they'll be able to go back to their house for 6 to 8 months, just in terms of power and the cleanup in the area. So they're displaced. So even, people that their homes didn't burn, they're still, they're still going to take some time for them to get back. And it's a very troubling situation. And, I saw the story of a woman, 7-year-old woman who had, lost her crypto, stored in her home. She had it on some kind of ledger, and the $2 billion lottery winner loses his home to fire. I mean, so many people have been affected by this. And it's a shame. Josh Altman had, famous real estate broker in the area, was saying that, a lot of people aren't going to go back. He thinks 70% of the people are not going to go back to the Palisades and some of these other communities because it's just going to take too long. I mean, if you have young kids or you got family, it just might not make sense to go back or wait the 4 years, 3-4 years to build. And so, yeah, it's we got to clean up a lot of these government inefficiencies, and hopefully there's some technology in the future that can help us with this. But yeah, just to wrap, if there's anybody needs help, reach out to us. If you're looking for advice, my wife and I we're actually in the insurance business. Each of us, we have like almost 15 years experience in the insurance business. And we've been getting calls from friends and family that are getting questions. And so anyone reach out to us if they have questions. And like I told Fernando and other people, just be careful. There's a lot of situations now where people are going to sign deals or maybe sell their property. And there's going to be money here, and there's going to be opportunity for you to rebuild. And just don't do anything quick is what I would say. Just make sure you protect yourself. Because I do think in the end, the properties in this area will go up significantly. Construction costs are going to go up, which means homes are going to go up. This home, Fernando's home that was $1.5 million in 5 years, probably worth $2 million. So, let's just, there's some opportunities for you to protect your family and build some wealth for the future. So, let's cut to Charlie here.
With the stock market at record highs, are you confident your portfolio can weather the next big downturn? Market corrections are quick and unforgiving, wiping out hard-earned gains in an instant. Smart investors know the key to financial security is diversification. That's why Noble Gold Investments makes it easy for Americans to help hedge market volatility and diversify their investments with gold. Since 2010, central banks have steadily increased their gold reserves, and in 2024, gold prices soared over 25%. Gold is simple. You buy it, you own it, you control it. Over $2 billion in precious metal sales, Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of investors diversify their portfolios with gold IRAs and physical gold. And now, when you open a qualified account, Noble Gold will gift you 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful coins as a thank you. Don't wait for the next downturn to catch you off guard. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com today and see how easy it is to incorporate gold into your investment strategy. That is noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com.
Hey, Guy.
How you doing?
How are you? My partner in My Digital Money is here. He's going to talk crypto, and wanted to bring him on because I think a lot of people have been saying, look at all this new technology, could we in the future have some systems in place to protect us from fires, from government inefficiencies, from, there's, there's all this talk about money. And I mean, California is one of the highest states for tax, right? I mean, California and New York, the two highest, yet they did not have preventative measures for this fire. They say they're running out of money. So what do you think, does the blockchain, does it have some solutions in place?
Yeah, I think the blockchain could help solve a lot of issues because one of the number one things it provides is transparency, right? You often hear the word immutable, and not everyone knows what that is, but that means that the ledger is tamper-proof, so you can record transactions on there without anyone messing with it, and everyone can see what's happening. So there's different use cases that you can use it for, and one of them could be to track spending. So you can really get a sense of where money is going, and that increases accountability, first of all, and also allows people to see, where things are going and potentially make suggestions and be able to identify improvements. So, even if a certain amount of funding is allocated to fire prevention, where is it then going, right? Even if you can track it at a very, high level, blockchain can allow you to track it on a more granular level where you can see, where are those funds going? Like, is it more to prevention, to clear brush, to put in sensors, so you can have early detection? Is it, to build reservoirs for local water stores so you can distribute the water, right? Like, where is it going? And, is there enough firefighters? All those things, even if things were done right, people are, if there's no transparency, people are going to speculate that they weren't done right. So, if anything, it will at least provide like trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
That transparency provides more trust between citizens and the local government.
And what about also, I was thinking, like, with homeowners now getting offers from insurance companies to rebuild their home, right? Wouldn't it be better if that was public? Like,
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be, so if they make an offer to Fernando's family for X, if that was available to the public, wouldn't that allow for some scrutiny?
Yeah, it would make sure that there's more efficiency in how funds are distributed, right? Because, and that's part of what blockchain provides is like protection against fraud, right? Because people take advantage of situations like this, right? If there's funding made available as a result of disaster, we've seen time and time again that.
Well, and like also, like, I know his family is getting offers from insurance to rebuild, but I don't know how could they legitimately right now determine what to rebuild would be. Right. Like, is it even feasible? I know, your family, and like we've done stuff in real estate, like construction costs have skyrocketed. We don't even know what it would cost to clear out what's happened at his house. Plus, we don't know what labor costs are going to be. We don't know what lumber costs are going to be. Like, if we could have some more transparency on like what we think it could rebuild, then people wouldn't get taken advantage of with lowball offers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of the thoughts.
Yeah, it will stabilize, the prices and make sure that, everyone else can see what insurance companies are paying. So people don't get lowballed, or, sometimes it could go the other way too. Or people
Absolutely.
get more money than they should, and that takes away money from people that need it, or it contributes to higher premiums. And also, just like with FEMA having funding, is that being funneled in the right places? Right. So, that transparency could really help. But even like, not even just in the disaster management, but even in the preventative, like, there's been a lot of, past, like in 2014, I think there was a bill passed where the citizens of California wanted a certain amount of budget allocated to building reservoirs, and those were never done. Those were never built. Why? Mm-hmm. Right? There's a lot of inefficiency in government where, you have to pass certain hurdles for funds to be released, right? And so you never know when something is on someone's desk and they just don't get to it.
Right.
And maybe it could have been prevented, but and that's where blockchain can come in too, because there's a lot of automation that can be done with smart contracts, because smart contracts could basically automate a lot of processes. So like if a certain project milestone, let's say, is met, it can automatically release funds to a certain vendor, to maybe start building a reservoir or whatever it is that needs to be done. I'm not an expert in preventative measures, but I know that blockchain can provide more of that automation that could cause delays.
Well, and I would say
Right.
you are an expert in project management, and you know how to get projects finished. And so one of the things that you always do when we have a project at Noble Gold or Buy Digital Money or any of the companies that we work on together is you set milestones.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that frustrates people about the government is you look at this money. So this 2014 bill, there's 2.7 billion for water storage that was never used. Like, what happened? Like, why didn't that project get moved along? And also, I think that the thing that's always frustrating with the government is that, like, what are the priorities? And I think that that's something that we do all the time is we put, like, sometimes something needs to go to the top. And over the last few years, if you saw the amount of brush, I mean, you hike too. We hike in these areas. You could see it wasn't like there was no mystery here that this is a ticking time bomb. And yet it wasn't a high priority. We've spent billions and billions on homeless and all these other things, but protecting taxpayers in these areas should have been paramount and number one.
And the other thing in this area is they had a reservoir
and there was no water.
Yeah, the Santa Ynez Reservoir, because it was being repaired, right? But I think it was supposed to be repaired for like 2 years. So, where was the delay? Like,
sure. And what's the backup? And what's the backup plan?
Yeah.
The other thought I was thinking in terms of like technology and AI and things like drones is like, I know a big part of they say the big issue is that the winds were too fast for planes. But could there be a situation where like unmanned could potentially be dropping water in these, sort of, I don't know if it can, but I'm saying like that was sort of one of the big issues, as you could see, as the days went on, when they were able to bring these helicopters in and drop water, it really minimized a lot of the fire, but they weren't able to because of the winds. And I wonder if that's, something that could happen. What about just having enough? Could the blockchain tell the government like how many people they should have in a specific, like, could they look at the map and then could it create systems in place so that there's enough firemen and enough policemen? And, because obviously Fernando was saying like there was, the firemen weren't helping. They were just driving by these homes. Like, could it really create a system in place that there's enough people, available?
It could help. I mean, I know that the fire chief was complaining, that she didn't have enough firemen. Like the budget was cut by 17 million. And she wrote numerous letters about not having the resources, right? So the blockchain could help in maybe providing data to back up, the claim that, I don't have enough budget. Because you can collect like through IoT, right?
What's IoT?
IoT is basically information of things. You have sensors that you can collect data, and that data can be put on a blockchain where you can't mess with it. It has more trust, and you can collect, like things like, okay, is brush dry or wet, and then weather data and different things that can then be used by forecasting models to kind of forecast a risk in different areas.
Right.
And
obviously State Farm knew the risk, right? I mean, like when State Farm said we're canceling all these policies, didn't people start to think?
Yeah, part of that is I think because of price controls, right? So they weren't able to increase the prices beyond a certain
course,
amount.
but also like wouldn't like the options became much worse. So like if you go back and State Farm went to the Department of Insurance and said, I need to increase my rates by 50%, and the Department of Insurance said, okay, and people decided in that situation it's too expensive, I go to the Fair Plan, then it would have been fine. But most of those people that got canceled, their only option was Fair Plan.
Right.
But if they had the option, I'm sure now.
I'm one of those people, by the way.
Yeah.
I couldn't get insurance for 3 months. I was shopping around, and finally I went with the Fair Plan.
Yeah, that's what most people. That's the insurance of last resort.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a friend who lives in the mountains areas, and the week of the fires, they were trying to cancel his policy before the fires had started, and he was negotiating with them. He had some plants that were too close to his house, and he was able to get it bound the day of the fire. Basically, they finally agreed to bind his or have coverage on his policy, not through the fair plan, and now there's a moratorium, obviously, that they can't cancel. So obviously people are set. So let's kind of transition a little bit. President Trump is very pro crypto. He's been talking about crypto for the last few months. Some speculated that it was to maybe get some favor with voters, but it seems now it's part of his agenda. He's talking about doing a Bitcoin reserve. He also released a meme coin last week. So talk about that. Talk about what you think the meme coin is. What do you think about Bitcoin reserve? Talk about those things. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's great that he's pro crypto in terms of regulation because the SEC has been very unfriendly and basically Trump is putting it in place. Paul Atkins, who's much more crypto friendly and has deep expertise with the SEC. He was previously the chair. So I think that part is great because before we're driving innovation outside of the U.S. Now, I think there'll be a lot more innovation here. Not only that, from a regulatory standpoint, there's a few bills on the table that are likely to get passed in the next 1 to 2 years. So that will provide regulatory clarity to companies and basically allow for innovation to now take off.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's great. Like these blockchain applications that I'm talking about for government are much more likely to happen now. Once there's regulation, it's much more likely. And so I think that part is great. Meme coins, I think you probably know I'm not a huge fan of.
We don't have on My Digital Money. We don't have any meme coins.
Right.
We've specifically stayed away from meme coins because there's pump and dump schemes, and really the cryptos we have, all of them are moving towards a use or already currently have a use. Right.
Right. Yeah. So meme coins don't really have a utility. And it has its place. People want to have fun and gamble. I mean, it's like going to the casino and putting money on red or black. That's how I see meme coins. But yeah, we because we're focused on retirement, right? We want to deal with coins that have longevity, that have the best chance for people to earn long-term gains. And meme coins come and go. They go up. I think the Trump coin went up, I don't know, thousands of percent, and then overnight kind of lost more than 50%. So a lot of times, like you get in because you have a buddy that made a lot of money, but by the time you get in, now it crashes, right? So you got to be careful.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about XRP, Ripple, which we have on our platform. That's obviously been a big mover over the last few months. What are your thoughts on Ripple? Like, why do you think it went up? Where do you think it is? Do you think it's starting to? I know it's being used a lot. Banks are starting to use it. They like the application. What are your thoughts on Ripple?
Yeah, Ripple's great. It's essentially a replacement of the U.S. made SWIFT system, which is a protocol for transferring money across borders. XRP is doing that more efficiently, right? So settlement time is faster and it's much cheaper to transfer money across countries. So it's a great technology. It's being adopted by actual institutions, Bank of America, Santander. You have a lot of big companies adopting it. One of the things that's held it back was the SEC lawsuit that's been going on for years. They had a partial win last year. But
the lawsuit was that the SEC said that they thought it was a security. Right. They sued saying that, which is weird because why did they choose Ripple? I don't know why they exactly chose. I don't even know if they decide why. But when the lawsuit was won, they basically decided that it's not a security. Right? Is that what ended up happening at the end? It's not a security. So that's how they got out of the lawsuit.
Got out of the lawsuit, but then, but there's still a certain part of the lawsuit that's alive, like that says the institutional sales is security. Retail sales was not a security. So, but then once it was announced that Gary Gensler is going to resign, and Paul Atkins will be put in place, the value shot up, right?
Yeah, it was sitting at like 50 cents and it went up to like 250, 275.
Well, now it's at 3.3 or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
right,
I haven't
right.
checked in a day, but yeah,
And it's an affordable coin, right? It's the nice thing is that it's, you know, some people, Bitcoin maybe is too expensive, but people feel like they can get a lot out of it. So it's we've seen a lot of buying on our platform.
yeah, they released also stable coins, so that also helped a lot. And their partnerships continue to evolve.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you're using blockchain, but it's within the guardrails of regulation, right? So because it has the backing of big institutions, and now it's kind of has a stamp of approval that it's not a security, and so yeah, it's one of those ones that have grown like crazy.
Yeah.
And made it at some point to the top 3. I think maybe it's between 3 and 4 now.
In terms of volume.
In terms of market cap.
And market cap. Okay.
Market cap.
And so My Digital Money, our platform, 4 years in business. You know, it's been, you know, went through the crypto winter kind of early when we started the business. And I remember you and I were at the Bitcoin conference in Miami, and I remember it was only months after we had started the business, and they were basically, you know, saying that it's going to have a downturn, and it did. It, you know, crypto went, and it was tough for a few years now.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing ETF adoption and all these things happening. How's it going at My Digital Money? What are people saying? You know, we've been around for a while now. I think that was a big thing, as we were kind of early, but now 4 years plus in business. What are people saying? What are the experiences people are having with My Digital Money?
Yeah, I mean, people are loving it because right now we're at all-time highs, right? We're very close to the all-time high with Bitcoin. So everyone's pretty much at a gain. And a lot of it is within IRAs, so they don't have taxes to worry about.
Oh, nice.
At least not until later, or, you know, if it's a Roth IRA, they're not worried about, you know, the gains and filing and all that. So people.
And I will say, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was going to say, I've been reading a lot about like converting a traditional to a Roth, and I'm not giving tax advice, but the argument people are saying this year or over the next year could be really good is that if President Trump lowers taxes, then maybe it's a good time if you want to convert a traditional to a Roth, because it will be a little less expensive over the next few years. So it could be a win, which people have done that with us, where they've, you know, had a traditional, they go, you know what, I'm going to pay the tax, I want to convert to a Roth, because long term they think that the gains will be more.
Right.
And you know, there's a famous Peter Thiel Roth, the super Roth that he has. It has like, I don't know, 6 billion in it, and he'll never have to pay taxes.
Right.
So, you know, that's something.
Yeah. So you pay taxes now, but, you know, if, like me, you believe that we're still very early on, and, you know, you're looking at long-term investing, like for retirement, then that's a great option, because if you believe crypto is going to go up 10x, pay taxes now and not later.
Not
right?
later. Yeah, exactly. Let it continue to grow. And then also the nice thing too is that when you retire, you don't know where where taxes are going to be, right? And so the nice thing is that it's that money, that growth, whatever you have in there, you can take it out at retirement, and you don't have to worry about that, you know, that tax game. One thing is we're a platform, we hold the crypto for you. You know, some people say it's a negative, some people positive. What do you say to people like right now that, you know, are talking to us about that? What do you think of the kind of pros and cons of that?
Yeah. So one of the features we offer is cold storage. We manage, we hold crypto for you, right? And it's done in cold storage, so it's offline. It's very safe. But a lot of the objections that we get from some people is that, you know, they want to hold their own crypto, right? And that's part of the ethos of crypto, is that you're in control. You're in control, right? And I get that, but, you know, while we do hold it for you, manage it for you, you still own it, right? It's legally yours. We're not allowed to do anything with it. We don't commingle funds, and we have auditors that come in and make sure that what we say we have. Right, and it's there. We're not allowed to use it without your permission. So, to me, you get the best of both worlds, right? Because there is risk in managing your own crypto. Like, there is a certain amount of tech savviness you need to have at this point in time to manage your own wallet. You can lose your passphrase. We've heard those stories. You mentioned the story earlier of a lady that lost her ledger in the fire.
Yeah.
So you can lose it in a fire, right? And with us, if you lose your password, you just hit the, forgot password link, and you can always call us. This is another thing that people do love, is that we have US based customer service,
Right.
So especially if you're getting started and you just want to know about what crypto is, what are people investing in, right? We'll give you all the information on the phone. So
many of the platforms have gone away from service.
Right.
We've always doubled down on service, because I think that if you're going to take that big risk and jump into crypto, you'd want to call somebody. And I've heard these that's really why we started the companies. We've heard these horror stories of people that can't get in touch with their,
Right.
provider, and it just doesn't create any trust. So I think it's something we've really focused on My Digital Money. Any other cryptos before we check out here? Any other cryptos you think are interesting, or anything else?
Yeah, so I mean, Solana is great. We have it on our platform because it's much more scalable and very fast, and transaction fees are lower than Ethereum.
Trump's meme coin is built on Solana, right?
Built on Solana.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of NFTs and meme coins that come up on Solana.
Which Ethereum was sort of the lead on that before, but now Solana seems to be taking.
Solana seems to be overtaking because Ethereum still is not fully scalable. There's going to be upgrades. So Ethereum is still good. It's been lagging behind in terms of performance, but once the upgrades come, it could catch up. So Ethereum is also good. I always say diversify. So I have both. It's just like, they're both good. It's not one is good, and they both have advantages, right?
And that really is something that we talk about a lot. Is, we're not experts in this, but we see the ones that we have utility, and they're going to gain more utility, hopefully. And but you don't know which one's going to really scale. I mean, Solana obviously went through a big run, and Ripple now is on its big. So if you have, let's say you have a basket of those, you're sort of protected, which is kind of what like big money people do, like private equity guys, and they're casting a wide net, right? And that's really the way that they are able to pick a company that an NVIDIA or one of that. They're just, they're going to buy into a lot of these startups, and hopefully one of them takes off.
So
right?
So that's why we like to have the ones that are established, but also we like options. So like Ethereum and Solana, they're both smart contracts, both very popular. So we have both. And with XRP, we have its counterpart or one of its main competitors is XLM, Stellar Lumens. So we have that as well. And that also benefited, from XRP going up. XLM also went up from like 11 cents to 50 cents. So it went up, times 5.
It's not bad.
So that's another good one to look into as well.
And My Digital Money, you can do IRAs, but you can also do cash too. So you can do both, because a lot of people wanted more than IRAs. So we started to offer a direct investment. And yeah, I would say, we do it a little bit different. I think that we've always built it on customer service, but also safety. It's been a big priority with us over the last 4 years, is like really focus on the safety, building a good brand, and then, kind of growing from there. When you had this, situation with, what's the company that went out, the crazy guy that went out of business?
FTX.
FTX. That situation was exactly why we started our company, was because you could see that there was so much money going to space, and these, immature operators, right? I mean, it's crazy to say that this immature operator had, that they were running their books on QuickBooks online, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they had billions and billions of dollars, right? But, that's why, we've been in business a long time. We created it. We're experienced operators because we want people to profit and grow and feel good about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
And you got to read the fine print. I mean, you're an unsecured creditor with a lot of platforms out there.
Yeah.
And that's where, we shine, is you're not an unsecured creditor.
Right.
You don't have to wait in line if there's a bankruptcy. Like, it's still your assets.
Yeah.
And you get that with the cash option too, which is rare. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Guy. MyDigitalMoney.com. Any questions, he's available there. And thank you for bringing in some insight into what's going on in the crypto world. Anything else we want, or we hit it all today? Thank you guys, everyone that stayed on. Appreciate it. I know it was a long one, but we had a lot to go over. So Colin Plume, Guy Gottslack,